this session, we can look at how we can find out the ID of the streaming query, then how we can provide the name to each query. So providing name for the query streaming query is really helpful if you have a multiple streaming query running at the same time. And if you want to understand that particular query, what is the status and what's the current um, progress, if you want to understand, you can easily understand if you have the name. We also check whether the streaming query is active or it's in a closed status or not. And if you are very good in optimization, the physical plan will really help you. So we can see how we can find out the physical plan for each query. Sometimes we may have to stop the query, so we can use stop method. And yeah, as I said, we can also check recent or the last progress of the query. Hi friends, welcome back to another Databricks episode. So previous episode, I talked about how we can pull the data from some website using REST API, then store it in our data lake, then use that as a streaming services. So in that episode, I also showed how we can do the transformation after pulling the data from the source, then I just create the dashboard. And here I would like to explain some more details like how we can manage the queries. Okay, so for demonstrating these methods, let's execute the previous command. And this one is already there, explained all the codes in my previous video, and definitely I'll be posting that video in the description. And if you didn't watch that, first you go and watch and come back here. Okay, so for this demo, let me start executing this. Okay, we got the error. DF schema is not defined, so let's define the schema. As I told you before, schema is required in case of a streaming query, because initially we will not be understanding how much data is coming in, what are the data types. So we are just starting this um, streaming, so we have to define the schema, then execute it. So this one, we are just reading the data, reading the files. We have multiple files in this location, which we received it from the free website. And this query will read all the files, the data in all the files one by one as a streaming, right? And we also adding one column here, then small transformation applied here. So let's execute this. So now the stream is initializing. Once everything initialized, then it will start the streaming query, right? So you can also see that I have given a stream name here. That this will be helpful for managing the query. There may be multiple streaming queries running at a time, and if we give the name, that will be very easy for us to understand what's happening on that particular query, right? Now this is running. Let's come back here and look at this data frame is streaming or not. This will give you that whether the data frame is streamable or not. Basically, it will give you the details like any one or multiple sources of using which we created this data frame is having the streaming source or not. If it is there, it will give you true. Now what we need to do is we need to check whether this streaming is active or not. For that, we need to take the ID of the streaming query, right? Where you'll get the query here, where you'll get the ID, you can take it from here, copy it, come back here, then paste it here. Okay. Now you have seen this streaming query is active and it says it is true, right? So let's say we have multiple streaming queries running. What you can do is we can go through every streaming streaming queries, and find out the name and ID. Okay, so not only name and ID, whatever the properties that I'm going to explain, everything you can get it using this method, right? So you can see this is the query that the query name I given there, and this is the ID, right? Let's say if you want to stop this ID, we can stop it, and I'm going to remove the name from there. Let's see what's going to display there. So this is my ID. I'm going to stop. So once the this one is executed, let's go back and see what's happening there. And you can see that this query is no more running, it is stopped, right? So if you want to check, you can check whether this one is active or not. So object has no attribute is active. The reason is this ID is not available now, that's why. Okay, so if you look at here, you are not getting any details here because no streaming query is active at this moment. That's right. Now let's go up, and I'm going to remove this and execute. Now the streaming is starting again. Okay, now let's come here and check what's happening. So here you can see it will automatically take the query name. It is display query underscore 3, but if it is a default query, you'll not be able to manage it properly. That's the reason we are giving this query name. Okay, all right, I'm giving back this query there, canceling it, and we'll execute it again. Check the other two more things that we discussed here. So one is like understanding the query plan, right? So I just took the copy of this UUID and paste it here. Yeah, this is active now, and this is the data frame. So you can see the physical plan of data frame by using explain method. Similar way, we can use UUID and update the explain. So if you look at the explain plan, it's a little bit different compared to the data frame explain and the streaming plan. Okay, and what else we need to discuss here? I think I'll talk about write stream in the next session, and yep, I think I covered. Okay, so if you want to understand what is the current status, that also we can show find out here using the streaming method, right? Recent progress, last progress. Recent progress and last progress is the method that you can use to understand what is the streaming progress at this moment. So what you can do is use this. Let me create another cell so that it will be easy for us. Okay, here it is there. Spark dot get streams dot get, and use recent progress or last progress, right? So let's say recent progress and use this ID. We can use this ID here. Streams. Okay. Stream. Stream is not streams. Okay, so you get all the recent progress here. So here the recent progress is it's captured everything, right? So you'll not be able to properly understand what's happening there. So let's cancel it again so that it will be easy for you to understand. Just cancel it and execute it again, right? So go to the recent progress. Oh, I forgot. So every time when you restart, the ID, the UUID will be different, right? But keep in mind, once you start the streaming process, these IDs will not be changing, will not be stopping the streaming actually. So, but if you restart, the ID will be different. So we need to capture the new ID here. So just not here, here, just paste it here, execute this. So you'll get the recent changes. So the similar way you have the last progress also, right? Recent progress is one, then last. So the last progress, it will give you the last data that it captured from the streaming devices. Okay. All right. So that's what I would like to showcase here this session. Again, I'll come back with uh, right stream and um, checkpoint, etc. on the streaming topics. So please write a comments if you have any questions, and thank you very much for listening to my video, and see you soon. Take care. Bye. If you would like to receive more such videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you would like to connect with me, I have provided my details here, my email and LinkedIn. So thank you very much.